What's up, fellow football fans? Good evening. This has been so far a fantastic weekend for football, and COVID or no COVID, we're having a fantastic Premier League so far, and the European leagues in general are really exciting so far this year. Maybe it's because everything is a little bit more concentrated because we started late. But now, like Klopp just said this weekend, this October really feel October and now the following month, November and December, they all feel like they all have the intensity that is usually associated with December in the Premier League. So a lot of games, a lot of decisive games, and we're seeing that in October already because every week we have a lot of games. The top teams in the Premier League play in the Premier League. They then play in the Champions League midweek. Uh, Premier League again, Champions League. So there's a lot of intensity. We're getting two very high quality match days per week, really, in the Premier League and the other European leagues during the weekends, and then midweek, pretty much every midweek, we're getting great Champions League matches. So it was no exception this weekend. We had a fantastic matches, and I'm gonna in this video I'm just gonna talk about the Premier League games. I might do another separate ones for the European leagues later on, just because there's so much to talk about just about the Premier League. And really, I watched a lot of games today, but I'm gonna start with Friday because that was the first game in this match day. It was Wolves against Crystal Palace. And I'm not going to talk a lot about that game, but Wolves again putting on a very solid performance, beating Crystal Palace 2-0, and they're looking very good. They have a lot of talented players, a lot of Portuguese talented players mostly, but not only. They have Raul Jimenez as well and some other ones, but a lot of really quality players that they got from Portugal, and that a lot of them play in the Portuguese national team. And I'm looking at the table here, and Wolves is already fifth in the league, fifth on the table with the same points as number four, Southampton, and Everton, who's number three. So, really good start of the season for Wolves. In these 7 games, they won four, they drew one, and they lost just 2 games so far. And really, frankly, they should have 5 wins in 7 games because last week they should really have won their game, but they dominated the game, but they just couldn't get it done. But in any case, very good start for Wolves. Now, on Saturday, we had Manchester City beating Sheffield United. And look, Manchester City is not having a good season so far. They started very slow. And I'm looking at the table here. Manchester City is in the 10th position, number 10. That's not usually where we're used to seeing, Manchester City. We're not used to seeing Manchester City in 10th place. But they have 11 points. Number one, Liverpool has 16 points, and Manchester City still has a game in hand, so they've only played 6 games so far, whereas Liverpool and most of their teams have played 7. So if they win that game, that extra game, they could actually get 14 points, and that would catapult them from position 10 to all the way to second or third place, which is just absolutely insane. That just shows you how tight this Premier League is so far, and how, what seems like a terrible start of the season for Manchester City actually is not that bad. Is not that bad if we just look at the points and the fact that they still have an extra game to play. So, but important, very important win for Manchester City though, to get those points, especially a 1-0 win against Sheffield United is nothing to write home about, but still very important for them to get that win away, especially when they're just struggling a little bit in this beginning of the season. They've already had 2 ties and 1 defeat. Um, but then we saw Chelsea also performing very well away from home against Burnley, beating Burnley 3-0. And we're starting to see a Chelsea that is a lot more solid. They were conceding a lot of goals early on in the season, and now they're progressing into a more solid team, which is very important, very good news for Chelsea. A lot more solid, getting some clean sheets. Mendy in for Kepa, and that has, I think, provided some peace of mind because Kepa was just not in a good place mentally, and he was not having good performances. I think that affected his defense a little bit. The team, there was also there was a fragility to the defense, also probably because of that, because Kepa was not transmitting that confidence in the back and in the goal. And now I think with Mendy, they look a lot more solid, and they've just improved overall in defense. And they got 3 goals this time, which is also very good news for them, because finally they're getting that solidity, but they're also putting in the goals up front. They're putting in they're getting that quality and those chances up front. And granted, it was against Burnley, but no game in the Premier League is easy. So every game is difficult. And for Chelsea to get a 3-0 away when, a clean sheet, scoring lots of goals, I mean, that's a very important result for Chelsea. Then the biggest game on Saturday was Liverpool West Ham United, and Liverpool also with a kind of a very strange start of the season, because they've been doing well in the Champions League with two wins in 2 games, and overall, if you look at the table here, they're first in the Premier League, so they're number one. They're doing what champions are supposed to do: defend their title, lead the table, and they actually look very good. It's the only weird thing really is that Aston Villa defeat, where they got completely dismantled. But I'm starting to think that maybe that was kind of a fluke, because 5 wins, 1 draw, which really they should have won arguably against Everton, and that defeat against Aston Villa, plus their 2-0 in the Champions League. So this may not be a bad start of the season for Liverpool at all. Maybe that Aston Villa defeat was just a fluke. And by the way, in that against West Ham, Liverpool coming from behind. West Ham scored first. They're 1-up against Liverpool in Anfield, but Liverpool um, was able to come back, tie the game, and then Diogo Jota scored once to put Liverpool ahead 2-1. The goal was disallowed due to VAR, and Liverpool and Diogo Jota scored again. This time it counted, and he gave Liverpool the win. Diogo Jota, who Liverpool just signed from Wolves this season, is really having an impact. Even though it's going to be very hard for Diogo Jota to be a starter in that Liverpool team. Obviously with Mane on one side, Firmino in the middle, and Salah on the other side in attack. I mean, it's pretty much impossible for anyone to get in there as a starter. But this is going to be a very long and demanding season. So I'm pretty sure Diogo Jota is gonna have no trouble, especially playing the way he is playing, to get lots of minutes and lots of goals. It seems for Liverpool. Now, let's get to the good part, which is Sunday, which is today. The games that we just watched today, and it was a great day for football. And it started with the banger: Aston Villa 3, Southampton 4. I confess, I was not able to actually watch that game, which is killing me, because I really would have liked to see that game. I only saw the highlights, because the game started really, really early in the United States where I live, and I did not want to wake up that early. I tried, but it was very, very early. So but Southampton. The result is actually. I did see the highlights, and if you're thinking 3-4, well, it was a close game. Well, that is kind of deceiving, because Southampton was beating Aston Villa 4-0 at one point. They had a great performance. Danny Ings again, really leading the attack, leading Southampton. Unfortunately for them, it seems that Danny Ings is injured. He had to be replaced because he was injured, and it was a pretty bad, ugly looking injury. We don't know yet. We don't know what the scans that they're going to do to him, surely, or they have already done to him, are going to reveal. I don't think we have news on that yet, but it did look bad. It did look pretty bad. He had to be replaced. He couldn't continue in the game. He just by his expression alone, and just by looking at the footage, it doesn't look good, and it would be a shame if Danny Ings has to sit out for a considerable period of time, because Southampton at this point, they're really looking very, very good. They beat Aston Villa 4-0. They were beating 4-3. They were beating them 4-0, and Aston Villa credit to them. They were able to come uh, from almost come from behind. They were losing 4-0. They almost scored 4 goals in the second half alone, but they came 1 goal short, 4-3, and some of those goals came, two of those goals came really late in the game. So it was really hard for them to to score the equalizer. I mean, they just didn't have the time. But still, at least that shows that they are willing to fight. They're willing to put in the work. And look, Aston Villa at one point they were almost top of the table or even top of the table. Um, that's not really their place. Let's be honest here. Um, Aston Villa, top of the table, beating Liverpool 7-1. That is something that might happen every once in a while in the beginning of a season when things are still not completely settled in, but Aston Villa is not a team that is really realistically going to challenge for the Premier League, but they are looking good and they do have their moments. Obviously that game against Liverpool, but they have a bunch of other wins already. They won 4 games out of 6, their first 4, but now they've had 2 consecutive defeats. Let's hope that that doesn't ruin their morale altogether. I mean, that they can still continue to play good football, good attacking football. They've shown again and again and again that they can perform in front of goal. Um, Grealish is playing very well. They have Ollie Watkins as well. I mean, they have some interesting players, and I like to see Aston Villa play. They usually provide very good entertainment. Now, the next game, Newcastle Everton, and this was another opportunity for Everton to shine. Everton starting the game top of the table. Sorry, not top of the table. They were second behind Liverpool, but with the opportunity to go top of the table again if they were able to win that game against Newcastle, but they were not. And James Rodriguez had to sit that one out because of an injury. So Carlo Ancelotti, even though he probably could still play, Carlo Ancelotti decided to reserve him in this game to see if he can completely recuperate. Um, but the problem is, Richarlison was also out, as well as some other players with injuries and so on. But especially Richarlison out, um, James Rodriguez out, and it's just not the same. They have some other good players, Sigurdsson. He played in this game, but it's just not the same without. I mean, those two players, James Rodriguez and Richarlison, are really key players for Everton, and I think for the magic to really work for Everton, they need to have James Rodriguez, Richarlison, and Calvert Lewin, and they all three have to be playing. And then we get that fantastic Everton that we've been getting in the beginning of the season with a lot of magic, with a lot of gunpowder in attack, a lot of potential for scoring goals. But without Richarlison and James Rodriguez, is just not the same thing. Calvert Lewin was still able, and look, he's developed into a fantastic striker. He's super complete, and he did get his goal. But Everton's just not the same. And Newcastle, they're not a spectacular team, but they do get the job done, and they got the job done against Everton. 2-1 defeat for Everton, and now they're still doing pretty well. They're still in Champions League spots. They're still in the top four. 4 wins in 7 games, one draw and 2 defeats. So it's still a very very solid start for Everton. But let's see if Carlo Ancelotti can kind of reverse this kind of like this bad run for Everton, bad mini run for Everton, and get start getting some wins again, and start having the team play as well as they played in the first games where everybody was just dazzled by Everton. But he needs the players. He needs Richarlison, James Rodriguez, the guys that bring out the magic in Everton. Now, Manchester United Arsenal was really the big game um, this match day in the Premier League. Manchester United Arsenal, an English classic, especially modern classic. Um, during all throughout the Ferguson era and the Wenger era, this was the great game in English football. Now a little bit less so because Manchester United and Arsenal are not in their best moment, And also, we have the top six now. It's not just the top two as we had before with Manchester United, Arsenal. Now, really, there are six teams that have, a comparable level at this point. Even though I would say Liverpool and Manchester City are a little bit above, but still, Manchester United, Arsenal, still a great game. Old Trafford, still one of the great theaters of European football. Now, like every great theater of European football without any supporters because of the COVID situation, but still a fantastic stadium. And unlike a lot of people, I actually do like this Manchester United team. I think they have a lot of potential. I think they have a lot of players. They have some veterans. They have very interesting youngsters, but they're just not playing well. They're terribly inconsistent. They have good games like they had, especially in Europe against PSG and against Leipzig. They had just beaten Leipzig, which is a very good side, and Manchester United had just beaten Leipzig convincingly at home in Old Trafford. And you would think they would have a similar performance against Arsenal. Not necessarily beat them because Arsenal is tough to beat, but at least play well, and probably even beat them. Arsenal, um, they hadn't gotten a result against Manchester United away in a long, long time. I believe in the last 30 attempts, um, at in the last 30 games away against top six teams, they had not been able to win the game. So Arsenal really with a dismal record away against the top teams in the Premier League and in particular against Manchester United. And you would just expect Manchester United to perform well, especially Arsenal coming from a bad set of results recently. But this was not the case. And Arsenal was not by far the best team. Manchester United, they did get their chances, but um, at the end of the day, it really looked like two teams that just weren't playing their best football. Arsenal, in spite of the win, which is, don't get me wrong, it's a pretty impressive win away against Manchester United in Old Trafford, but this is not like winning away at Old Trafford like it used to be, during the Alex Ferguson era. It's a completely different deal. This Manchester United, you never know who's going to show up. If it's a great Manchester United like the one that beat PSG and Leipzig, or it's the Manchester United that lost at home against Tottenham 6-1. You just never know. And today, it was kind of something in between, but it was just not a very impressive side. Manchester United looked pretty impotent in attack, not extremely solid in defense. And at the end of the day, Pogba, again, a player that, and I do like Pogba. I think he has a lot of potential, but for some reason he just doesn't seem to play his best football at United, conceding a very stupid penalty kick that was converted by Arsenal, and that was really the difference between the two sides. It's not like Arsenal is whole lot better, but Pogba gave away that stupid penalty in a challenge that he should not have made in the box. It was completely unnecessary and kind of silly, really, and he even admitted so himself. But Arsenal just taking that opportunity to win the game, to run away with the game, beating Manchester United away. A very important win for them. And they said they're still not doing good. They're ninth in the Premier League with 4 wins and 3 defeats. So really a mid-table record for Arsenal still, even with this win against Manchester United. And Manchester United, just you look at the table right now and you see Manchester United in 15th place, number 15 in the Premier League. And this is just crazy. This is almost rock bottom for Manchester United. The saving grace here is that they have one game less. So they have 6 games when most teams have 7. So if they win that game, but that's a big if at this point because we never know what Manchester United we're going to get next. Still, they're going to have 10 points and they'll be solid mid-table, 13th place, 12th place, 11th. Still nothing to write home about. Still not impressive and really a disgrace for a team like Manchester United, really. But at this point, 15th place is just terrible for Manchester United. And I think they have so much potential, but really they are not up to standard. They're not performing as they should with the players that they do have. And I don't know if that's due to the players or if it's due to Solskjaer, honestly, as a manager. I'm not sure. but we are looking at a team that, I'm sorry to say, but they're severely underperforming, and it's a shame because they had done very well against Newcastle, against Leipzig, and I think people were perhaps expecting Manchester United to kind of recover from a very bad start of the season, and this is certainly a setback against Arsenal. Now, finally, last game today, Tottenham against Brighton. And look, Tottenham gets the win against Brighton. It wasn't an easy win. They needed a heroic Gareth Bale to come from the bench and score the winning goal. I think it was around 15 minutes before the end of the game, or 20 minutes at most. So towards the end of the game, Gareth Bale comes in from gets out of the bench, comes into the game, and scores a beautiful header to win the game for Tottenham. Um, Good performance by Gareth Bale, who was giving a chance to perform, um, even though he didn't start in the game. But look, this Tottenham, without making a whole lot of noise, without playing any spectacular football, in 7 games, 4 wins, two draws, and only one defeat. Very good record, 14 points, and they're only 2 points short of number one Liverpool, of the top of the table. So um, they are very close to the top of the table. They are into this Premier League title race, and this is actually a very good start for Tottenham, and a very solid start for Tottenham. And other than Liverpool, they're really the only top six team um, that is really that seemingly is taking this Premier League title race seriously. Because then you look at Chelsea sixth, Arsenal ninth, Manchester City 10th, and like I said, Manchester United 15th. So this might turn out to be a very easy season for Liverpool once again to win the Premier League, which is not something you would expect for a league as competitive as the Premier League with so many great teams. Then again, that might not truly be the case, because you have it might just be the case that we're going to have teams that we're not expecting to be performing very well. Everton, Southampton, Wolves, they're third, fourth, and fifth in the table. Aston Villa seventh, Leicester City eighth. So, and Leeds United, they play tomorrow. By the way, they'll play Leicester tomorrow. That's a fantastic game to watch tomorrow. Fulham and West Bromwich will also play tomorrow. That one a little bit less interesting, but I'm really looking forward to watch Leeds Leicester City. Two teams that are performing very well this season so far, and if one of them wins, they can put themselves in a very good position. If Leicester wins tomorrow, they'll have 15 points. They'll be second in the league, and that's completely possible. But it will be a tough game against Leeds. Leeds are sitting in position 12th in the league so far. They have 10 points. If they win tomorrow, they'll have 13 points. They'll be sixth, fifth, or fourth in the league with the same points as Southampton, Wolves, and Everton. So uh, that could be a fantastic result for Leeds and a fantastic start of the season. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I would say Leicester City probably has a slight edge, but Leeds is playing very well. So, but look, this even though this is looking like a very good start for Liverpool after some, that shaky Aston Villa result. This is a very exciting Premier League with lots of teams that you wouldn't expect to fight for the title actually up there in this. It's just the beginning of the league, I know, but it's exciting to see all these teams like Everton, Southampton, Wolves, Aston Villa, Leeds overperforming, and it's also a very tight league. You look at number one right now, Liverpool with 16 points, and 10th placed Manchester City with 11 points and one game in hand, and that's a difference of only 5 points. And if Manchester City wins that game, they'll be only 2 points behind Liverpool. So everything can change, and change dramatically on the table every single match day, and this makes for very compelling viewing. So this is it. This is my summary of this match day in the Premier League. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like this analysis, this talk, please subscribe to the channel, because I'll be doing this a lot more. Thank you so much.